Time for the Fowler Files with Jeremy Fowler. Jeremy has all the latest news with the NFL offseason. Jeremy, let's begin right here. What do you have on the Raiders and Maxx Crosby?
I got the files right here, and I have that people in the NFL are bracing for potential movement on the Maxx Crosby front, a potential trade. However, Raiders are non-committal at this point. They have not decided what to do. I expect the Raiders, Crosby, the front office to all get together and talk about next steps. But there is a line out of Hudson Street to talk to Maxx Crosby. There are at least 20 teams I heard that have showed preliminary informal interest in Maxx Crosby. So this is a team that could rebuild, needs draft picks. Easy way to get them.
Lewis, trading Crosby, is that the best way to start the perceived Fernando Mendoza era?
Yeah, especially if Maxx doesn't want to be there. And look, you typically associate Maxx with being a Raider for life, and I get that. I get how important that is to a lot of the alumni and a lot of the fan base. But this is a football team that's starting over from scratch. He's going to be 29 years old. If he wants out of there, given everything that he's done for this organization, you're probably going to get a haul for him. They need so many different pieces, not just on offense, which we all automatically say is where they need to start because they need to support who's presumably going to be the #1 overall pick in Fernando Mendoza. Their entire defense needs to be revamped. He's the only valuable asset on that side of the football, arguably. He really is.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the era of a reset and Maxx Crosby doesn't have the stamina for it, you got to let him go to another team. You got to get those assets and build around what you have coming in. You had Tom Brady coming in last year. You had a new general manager. Now you have Kubiak as the new coach, and you're going to have a new franchise quarterback in Mendoza. It is time to do a reset, get those assets, and continue to build this foundation.
Jeremy, let's go to Dallas. What's the latest on the contract situation with the Cowboys and wide receiver George Pickens?
Yeah, the latest is the Cowboys are expected to franchise tag George Pickens when that window opens later this month. That would put him at around $28 million per year, which at least sets the stage for a potential long-term deal. My sense is Dallas would like to keep him long-term. They love what he brings to the offense, but this could get tricky because he and his agent aren't going to love the franchise tag, and he's going to want a long-term deal. He's not just going to run in there and sign it. This could be a situation where he stays away from the team, doesn't sign the tag. Then you have the song and dance of how do you reach a deal? Do they look at trading him? These are some questions people around the league are asking right now.
The questions we ask about this team every single year. Like, what year is it? Hawk, your thoughts. Should they give him the long-term deal now?
I think they give him the long-term deal, but it takes two to tango, and George Pickens is going to have to understand the situation. I'm not saying take less. He went out there and balled, but he was in an advantageous situation, playing with Dak Prescott, playing on the other side of CeeDee Lamb. The problem is Jerry Jones and his agent don't have a history of having a really great relationship, so I just expect it's going to be a very messy negotiation. But you have not seen Dak Prescott play better than what you saw this past season with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens on the other side.
Jeremy, let's go to Philadelphia. The latest on the Eagles and A.J. Brown.
Well, some people I've talked to around the league, some executives of other teams, do expect that the Eagles will at least entertain a trade for A.J. Brown, who was unhappy on numerous fronts. I mean, name the counts where he looked like he was miserable out there. Body language wasn't good. So something has to give. That's sort of the feeling right now. They could build around Devontae Smith and some other pieces. Saquon, maybe add a wide receiver. So he would create a haul for the Eagles if they do go that route. Nothing has happened as of yet, but there are a lot of changes coming with the Eagles. We've seen them revamp basically their entire offensive staff. Do they pay Jalen Carter? One question around the league is, do they draft a quarterback maybe in day two to apply a little bit of pressure on Jalen Hurts, who I believe is at a crossroad right now after the way last season went. And Jalen Hurts was drafted in the second round, eventually replaced Carson Wentz, who got a massive deal just that offseason before. Does that same thing now happen to Jalen Hurts eventually?
Further back, Kevin Cobb was the second rounder behind Donovan McNabb. Howie Roseman was there as well. Let's put a pin in that. I want to come back to that one in just a second. Let's focus. How about that?
Look at you.
That's pretty much it for me. How much time do we have left in this show? I'm out of material. You're a resident wide receiver, Philadelphia. Are they going to get better getting rid of a guy like A.J. Brown? Should they trade him?
There's been so much friction that we could see with our own eyes, right? Like, we don't even know what happens behind the scenes. A.J. Brown is a top 5 receiver in this National Football League, and he has not had that level of production because they've had some chains on him since he's gotten to Philadelphia. They've won a championship. I'm of the mindset to free A.J. Brown. Let him go to an organization where he can be the most talented receiver in the NFL because he has that level of ability. And if it is a friction on your offensive side of the ball that is resulting in what we saw a year ago, it is absolutely time.
Lewis, the right move for Philly?
Yeah, look, I mean, on the football field from a pure talent perspective, of course it's not. You don't want to get in the business of trading people like this, but I understand exactly what Hawk is saying. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes things do run their course in the NFL. And look, there's nothing more important when you're talking about offensive continuity as far as the relationship between a wide receiver and a quarterback. And you could just tell this is strained, man. There's a lot of things going on underneath the surface here that are not going to allow Jalen Hurts to kind of reach his full potential and A.J. Brown to reach his full potential. And that's what you need here. And it may be time for them to go ahead and move on from him. And it may be ultimately what both of these guys need and what they both want.
If you're in the GM chair, any of the seats around the NFL, who's picking up the phone and getting the most aggressive?
Oh, if I'm Brandon Beane, I'm all over this. I am absolutely all over this. Considering the run he tried to make at guys like Jalen Waddle down in Miami last year, everybody knows that Buffalo needs wide receivers. And everybody knows this. Look, their owner knows it. Heck, their owner called out their former head coach and said, hey, look, he's the guy who wanted Keon Coleman, and Keon Coleman hasn't necessarily panned out, which is a whole different discussion. But that's the team that, for me, picture A.J. Brown up there in Orchard Park with Josh Allen in the new stadium. And that offense, come on now.
I got another. Oh, sorry. I got another one for you.
Please.
The team we just saw last week, New England Patriots. Mike Vrabel, A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
Instant connection. They need that piece on the outside. They have resources to do it. That's another team to watch.
You hit the note on the idea earlier about the Eagles drafting a quarterback, maybe not day one, but day two. The thoughts on that? Like, do we think Jalen Hurts might need a little push?
Everybody needs a little push, right? So, I think Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. I think he's obviously a Super Bowl winning, Super Bowl MVP quarterback. I think that the worst part about their offense is that they're doing musical chairs at the offensive coordinator position, and that is extremely hard on any quarterback. I don't care how long you've been in the league. And so even when you get a new quarterback in, if you are playing musical chairs at that OC position, it's going to be the same result no matter who you have in there.
Quick final word on that.
Yeah, one of the best times to draft quarterbacks is when you don't need one. Is when you're kind of looking around the corner down the road. Even though here, they may not be looking around the corner down the road. They may be staring it straight on as far as maybe what's in store for the future in Philadelphia at that position.
Imagine Sports Talk Radio in Philadelphia will handle this just fine. Here's the topic. QB quick reads. Lewis, we're going to begin with you. Now that the Giants have offensive coordinator Matt Nagy and quarterback coach Brian Callahan set, what is the ceiling for quarterback Jackson Tart in year two?
Well, you know what? I'm not going to say the ceiling. I'm going to say what the floor is, all right? I'm going to say what the expectation needs to be. He needs to be a top 10 passer in terms of total QBR, QB rating. I think he has that kind of upside. Now, they're going to need to help him still. They're going to need to continue to develop this offensive line. They're going to need another wide receiver to go along with Malik and make sure that Malik can stay healthy and make sure Malik is fine so he can play a 17-game season. But I think this is a guy who has the kind of talent to be able to play at this kind of level. Now, obviously, Jackson needs to go ahead and protect himself and make sure that he understands that availability is the best kind of ability. But I truly think that those are the kind of marching orders that the New York Giants coaching staff needs to be given on the offensive side of the ball, because this guy has the talent to be a top 10 passer.
Hawk, what do you want to see from Jackson Dart year two?
I want to see him play smarter. Listen, I think everyone was excited about his style of play and the fact that he is such a competitor out there on the field. But it was reminiscent of Anthony Richardson's first year. Now, look, it's not apples to apples, but playing that way in the National Football League gets you hurt. And you have to understand, as a franchise guy, everybody's job is tied to your availability. And so in year two, I want to see him continue to take the development on the field, yes, but also in his decision-making and where he puts his body and whether or not it's in harm's way.
All right, next quarterback, quick read. We're going to stay with you, Hawk. Who should trade for Kyler Murray?
I would love to see him in Miami. Like, look, you have a reset down there. When I look at Kyler Murray, and so much is talked about as who is the next Sam Darnold, I actually think Kyler Murray is well ahead of that curve, because we've seen Kyler Murray play really, really well in this league, and I think a change of environment will be good for him. But I also think of specifically the city of Miami, and when I think of Kyler Murray and what keeps him motivated, I feel like he's a perfect fit for the Dolphins organization.
Jeremy, take us through the trade market for Kyler Murray.
It's going to be on the table. My sense is Kyler Murray will be open to a change. He hasn't ruled out staying in Arizona. They have to get together over the next week or two and figure things out, because come mid-March, all his guaranteed money is going to be locked in. We're talking about $37, nearly $40 million that they're going to be on the hook for. So if Murray can facilitate a deal where another team can cover part of that, maybe get him on board, then that could be something where I think he's going to be intrigued by the Minnesotas, or maybe even the Colts if they need somebody for a couple months while Daniel Jones heals up. Like somewhere where he can thrive and win.
Lewis, is it possible Kyler Murray, the next Sam Darnold?
I guess it's possible. Look, I think really what it's going to take for Kyler, it's never been an issue as far as his talent is concerned. We have seen this young man do some very special stuff, both with his legs and with his arm. He has got the tools. His height has never been an issue. He has answered all those questions. The questions that you have with Kyler, when you go down there to Arizona, whether it be to call a game, talk to his teammates, kind of just watch them play, watch him conduct himself, within the context of the team, it's just about who exactly is Kyler Murray from a leadership standpoint, from a teammate standpoint? What kind of consistency does he show in the locker room, on the football field? All the things behind the scenes are the kind of questions that come up with Kyler. It's never about his talent. And I think with Sam, those are the kind of things that you saw in Seattle they loved about him the most, that he's one of the most selfless individuals that, look, you have this entire team out there kind of rooting for him and kind of standing up for him. That's the kind of thing you just want to see if Kyler can get to a place where he can make his teammates feel like that about him.
Jeremy Fowler, last QB read is for you. Are the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers open to a reunion next
Joe, what do you do when you have a 42-year-old quarterback? You run it back. Why not? Both sides are open to it. The Steelers have been open to it, really, for the majority of the season because they feel like it's gone really well. They know there's some mobility concerns, but he threw the ball well. He was a good influence in the locker room. I talked to a source close to Rodgers who said that he's been rejuvenated. Like the Jets years were rough. Pittsburgh, he absolutely loved it. So certainly feels on the table, but we know this is not going to happen anytime soon based on Rodgers' track record with off seasons and dragging these kind of things out.
42 years old, new coaching staff in Pittsburgh. Wouldn't this be the best time for a reset? Is it possible that they'd be making a mistake bringing him back?
It's obviously possible, but I think they got more than what they bargained for with Aaron Rodgers a year ago. I think to Fowler's point, he loved the stability of the Pittsburgh organization, and they're in bridge mode. You don't bring McCarthy in if you're not in bridge mode. This is where the floor is because we know McCarthy's not going to be there for 20 seasons like all the previous coaches. So you continue that trend unless you have a quarterback that you are in love with, that you feel incredibly confident that you'll get at number 21. Yes, keep Aaron Rodgers there, get draft assets, and look to the future to find your guy.
Yeah, I think as long as he wants to do it and that he is going to be motivated and be all in and kind of have, Mike McCarthy's back the same way he had Mike Tomlin's back, I think for sure you bring him back. For sure, because look, Hawk is making the point. They are in bridge mode. There is no next best alternative that is just jumping off the page at him right now. We don't know what they think about Will Howard. Obviously, some people have mocked Ty Simpson from Alabama to them at 21. I don't think Ty Simpson is going to be there, quite honestly. I think he's going to be off the board even before that. So Pittsburgh better make sure that they have an answer at the quarterback position, considering that this is a football team that's going to be expected to still contend in the North next season.
I will say Will Howard is a sneaky option. They like him in-house, the way he operates the offense, communicates all those things. They've also done a ton of homework on this particular draft class over the last year and the quarterbacks involved. So we'll see if they pull the trigger.
To put a bow on it, is there anyone else out there that could be interested in Rodgers?
Ooh, well, I'm going to go back to Minnesota.
Okay.
I'll go back to Minnesota. Now,
just complete the whole Brett Favre cycle?
Yeah. Well, any quarterback that's available.
Just delayed.
Right.